Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mack. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This podcast is also proudly presented by T&K Hunting Gear. If you haven't heard about T&K, then it's about time you do, everyone. I've been using T&K gear out in the field and on hunts and have absolutely fallen in love with their stuff. T&K is veteran-owned and 100% made in America, using only American-made products. All their gear is covered under a lifetime warranty with no questions asked. If it breaks or fails, they will fix or replace it for free. T&K is your resource for bino harnesses, bow slings, and a lot more amazing gear. For more information about T&K hunting gear, go to their website at hunting.com. That's TANDK hunting.com. Or you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Don't forget to leave a review from T&K and the Soulful Hunter. Freedom on and stay soulful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter podcast. You know who I am, and I'm so thankful that all of you tuned in for this episode. Today I got a really cool one. I'm talking with, Matt, you're like a local celebrity to me and my circle of friends, and definitely if you're from the state of Washington and maybe even the peninsula, you know who Matt Schmitz is. He is just a stud archer, awesome man, and a great father and friend, and so he's the guy who sold me my first bow, and my first and only bow, really, is what it comes down to. And I've been not using Matt, but Matt's been a mentor to me. When I got into hunting, I asked him a ton of questions, and, well, we're going to get into the story about how you were a little more reserved when it came to these questions that I had, and through time and getting to know each other, we've become more and more friends, and walls have been broken down, so Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. Just tell the listeners who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah, my name is Matt Schmitz. Right now I live in Montesano, Washington, actually Central Park, just a little town between Aberdeen and Montesano. 38 years old. I grew up out in Forks, Washington, graduated in the year 2000, so I'm an old fella. And I'm working out in Grays Harbor at Hoquiam Fire Department, and that's what I do for a job. On the side, I have this bow shop that I've been doing for over 10 years. It's changed names from Bull of the Woods formerly, and now it's Inferno Archery. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing out here.
I love it.
Coaching sports and hanging out at the shop. And
you're giving back is what you do. And that's a big part of what we believe here at the Soulful Hunter podcast is that you can't outgive good. You know, just giving, teaching, you know, whether it's teaching your kids, teaching local community with coaching and all that stuff. Really appreciate it. Even firefighting, man. You're a hero.
Yeah, I don't know about a hero, but yeah, no, I'm blessed to be able to do the job that I do. You know, it's nice to serve people and serve the community on the outside too, because you know, sports brought me to where I am. Really, I mean, it brought me and my wife together, and I was gifted with some sports, and had to work hard. But you know, being able to go to college, play some baseball along the way, and give back some of that knowledge, and bring my kids up, you know, in a different way than I was brought up as far as just that higher level of baseball. You know? So, yeah.
So baseball, wrestling is super cool. Hunting is awesome. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Were you raised a hunter?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, my hunting goes back a long time. I mean, my dad grew up in Willamina, Oregon, and so really good blacktail hunting out there. And his dad was a farmer that hunted, but I think he mostly farmed. But yeah, hunting's been a part of our family heritage forever. So for me, cool. I didn't have to figure it out. I mean, I remember being dragged out of the house before I would really wanted to be, and going out getting cold and watching Dad shoot the animals. I always had the itch to want to go out there. I probably wanted to shoot deer with my slingshot and BB guns because I just wanted to get after it. But no, but I've always had it at my disposal. I mean, you know, when they were bank fishing, I was shooting guns. And
so your big thing is that you're a huge archer.
Yeah,
you have some history in shooting tournaments and different stuff like that, to the point where you opened up your own archery shop. Was archery something that really catapulted you in your hunting career, or like, it consumed you, or what was it?
It did. I mean, I shot my first deer early on. I think I finished my hunter's ed course when I was about 8 years old, and can't remember if it's first or second year that I actually got my first deer, but we kind of grew up in a meat hunting family where it was, hey, Matt, if you see a spike, he's yours. But if it's a branch antler buck, he's not getting away, and Dad's shooting that thing, right? And so I went all throughout high school with ever shooting a branch antler buck. And I wasn't an elk hunter. Our family were not elk hunters. We weren't turkey hunters. We were blacktail hunters, and that was all we really did.
Yeah.
We grouse hunted as well. But, yeah, it took me until I was a bow hunter, which was I think I was 22 years old when I decided to start bow hunting. And the reason I got out of rifle hunting was I remember going back home from college thinking this is going to be great. I'm going to see so many deer, so many bucks. And we worked our tails off. Saw one doe, two does that just jumped and ran. Saw more people on quads on areas that we really shouldn't be seeing anybody on quads.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was, in college and thought, I'm kind of making my own way in this whole thing. And I'm not going to rifle hunt no more. I'm going to go muzzleloader hunting. And then me being the personality that I am, I said, I'm all in. I'm going archery. I'm going to do it hard. And I didn't really know who to turn to, who to talk to, or anything like that. And like I said, I grew up in Forks. And so at that time, there were a lot of bow hunters, but it wasn't mainstream like it is today.
Yeah.
And so you kind of had a few of your names that were longtime bow hunters. And they're kind of legends still locally for us.
Well, we're sitting here recording in your office, and I take a look up here on the wall. You got a picture of you and the Nuge.
Oh, well, hey, he definitely wasn't my mentor to that level, but, it was still a really cool time in my life where archery brought me to Ted Nugent, where we were able to go hunt together in Prince Wales, Alaska. So,
that's so cool.
That was after sponsorships and whatnot, and after I started doing well in tournament archery and making a name for myself, that there were some throwbacks here and there from some sponsors. So that was an incredible hunt, 2006 in Prince Wales, Washington, or Alaska, and it was a 6-day hunt on the El Dorado. Float planed in and spent, like I said, 6 days close proximity with old Uncle Ted and his family, who are great people.
That's so cool.
Super down to earth kids.
Yeah.
Respectful. Ted too. It was, there was a lot of starstruck with Ted initially, but after 2-3 days, he just became Ted.
Yeah. Almost a lot of cat scratch fever as well.
I wasn't a big fan of the music, so all I knew was Spirit of the Wild Ted, and it just became a very mellow conversation the rest of the week.
That's cool.
So yeah, he's just a normal dude, and once the cameras go off, he's just a guy like all of us.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's how a lot of people are.
Yeah.
They're just dudes trying to do what they love.
Yeah, and I don't mean it like he's fake. It's just he, through and through, he's a outdoorsman, and so are we, and so there's just that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit of the topic of why we're even sitting here talking right now. I came to you as a mentee, wanted to know all about elk hunting. I want to know not just about elk hunting, but archery hunting. I was like, dude, I'm a sponge. I'm just going to soak everything up that you can give me. At that point, at least my perspective, I felt like I was the first person to really challenge you on, hey, give to me so that I can give to others with my mission.
Sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way that you're saying it is true, where you're not looking to get your knowledge to serve yourself. You were looking at a broader message of helping others and all that. I've had a lot of people ask me to take them hunting, and it's usually, hey, I want to find an elk. I want to shoot an elk. I want to shoot something like you've shot. I just want some action.
Yeah.
And so my brother will even tell you it's a real tight-knit circle with who we hunt with, and me and my brother have our own spots. So that tells you that if my own blood and I don't hunt together, how hard it is to get into our circle. And
you guys must have not shared a bedroom when you were younger.
We did.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
There's a few holes in the bed because of fighting over stuff. So we probably fought over spots a little bit at some degree too. But he's incredibly successful at his hunting too, and he has a certain way about the way he does things. And so no, I mean, it's just real hard. I mean, it goes into styles. He hunts a little differently than I do, and you just pay your dues in certain spots, and hey, you want to get after it yourself a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And so through this whole process, and we're talking, we're recording it was the end of May right now, and we've been dealing with the coronavirus, so-called pandemic, and all this stuff. And so you being a former baseball coach, or even a current baseball coach, but now sports has been stripped away from society, you have what's left, the outdoors.
Right.
You have all these parents and all these children that, other than video games or riding bicycles or whatever it is, they don't have anything to do. And so you ended up, we were talking one day, and you're starting to get a lot more people are being drawn to you because of your knowledge and your skill set. And you were saying earlier before we started recording that a lot of dads are starting to come to you and be like, here's my son. We used to play baseball with your son. Now we don't have that. What do we do? How do we get into hunting? Give it to us.
Yeah.
Right. Like what's your take on that?
I think it's pretty cool. I started hunting at such a young age. My boys are now starting to hunt at such a young age. They're at it sooner than I was. They both took their hunter safety courses when they're 7 years old. I think I took mine at 8, and so there's not a lot of 7 and 8-year-old boys that are out there hunting. There's a few. You do see a few of them, especially in a small town like what we have out here, hunting fishing community. But it's definitely not the norm. Seeing a what grade would that even be? 2nd or 3rd grade guy, and he's coming in telling his teacher that he got a 2-point buck and 2 turkeys, and it's just odd, and you hear a lot of things like, oh man, is he safe enough to operate a weapon and these things? But these kids we got pictures with both of my boys that when they were in diapers, they were shooting air bows, just
Right.
it was cute pictures. And I'm packing a deer rifle or a AR-15 down the road, and he's got his Red Ryder BB gun.
Heck yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got these cool little magnet pictures on my gun cabinet. So they've been at it for a long time. So, coaching all the sports that I do, and we're around all the community, the dads are like, hey, this is really cool. And some of them now that my youngest one is 9, or my youngest boy that's 9 right now. I've got a younger daughter that's 6, but that age group, there's a lot of friends, and as well as my 12-year-old boy, that they want to go out and they hunt, but the conflict is mostly their baseball connections. What happens in April? Turkey season. What else happens in April? Baseball. And so you always
America's pastime.
Right. Yeah. So it's just a trade-off. You try to get away for a few days. And so in Washington, we have a 2-day youth turkey season. And so it's not a big commitment. You get over there on a Friday, get set up wherever it is that you're going. We go to Eastern Washington because we live over on the coast, and you can get a lot of action in a couple of days. And so we come back year after year. My son Adam, who's 12, he's been at it for 4 or 5 years turkey hunting. So he's been telling turkey stories for a few years, and Hunter's now into a second successful season, and he's notched all his tags. And so he comes back proud and ready to show pictures. And so a lot of these kids are A, already wanting to go out hunting, but B, had no interest, and they say, oh, but Hunter wanted to hunt, or Adam wanted to hunt. Does he hunt? And now they want to do their hunter safety course.
Oh yeah.
And so with Corona, like you say, right now, there's with social distancing and whatnot, usually you got to go through and pass your test and sit in classrooms, but you can't do that right now. You can't do your field walkthrough either. And so there's a little bit of a pass right now where you can do it online.
I know. Dude, I just literally yesterday, no, 2 days ago, completed my trapper's certification online.
Right.
I was like, I got to take advantage of this while I can, because scheduling a class is not always the easiest thing to do and whatnot. So, dude, that's awesome. So here I am as an adult hunter, or adult onset hunter, being like, help me, like feed me. I'm hungry for knowledge. You have parents in the community coming to you being like, I'm hungry for knowledge, because now not only do I want to give my son something to do, but I'm going to teach him and something we can do together. You just recently returned back from a turkey hunt in which you took out, was it a father or a son? What was it?
No. We just went out with our family, or immediate family.
Okay.
So usually we go on the youth turkey season. It's 2 days.
Yeah.
Our youth turkey season in Washington was canceled due to COVID. It also was canceled in Idaho. And so the boys got both those turkey seasons pulled out from underneath them. Missed all their baseball. Travel baseball. Did finish up wrestling, so that's a blessing. No fishing, things that they want to do, And so they lifted that on Cinco de Mayo. Opening day was Cinco de Mayo. So on the 4th, I was able to wiggle some things around at work, and thank you, Derek. And we got after it. So we hit the road, and we got over there on the 4th in Eastern Washington, hunted more than 2 days, because we usually only hunt 2 days. So we hunted for 5 days, I believe. So it's just great for the kids. So
Cool.
yeah, so it's just me and my immediate family on this one.
So
But-
what was your takeaway? Like, you were taking your boys out in the woods, and you've always known my perspective of like start teaching somebody that has no knowledge. There's a lot to teach them.
There is.
And you are teaching your boys turkey hunting is kind of like the first get go. They've shot a buck or whatever.
Mhm.
Take us through it. What is
Yeah.
it that that you feel your boys need to know? And this can apply for beginning hunters, no matter what the age is. But what are the things that you're making sure that they know and understand when you're going through a process?
Yeah, I mean, you look at it as if you were going to teach an adult that maybe lives across town from you. It's hard to have that one-on-one time because we all families and we're adults, so you can't really connect it too often to where you're instilling certain values. So I think it'd be a really hard challenge to just build that up with a kid. Well, I
Right.
live with him, and so you have a responsibility as a parent to teach them a lot of things about becoming good men. And for us, our heritage is we pride ourselves in knowing how to use guns and weapons and bows and
Yep.
things like that. And
Yeah.
safety is the number one. Me being a firefighter paramedic, seen some things, don't want to repeat those.
Oh man.
And
yeah.
so, so in the back of your head, you're like, oh yeah, they always said that when you're getting into this work, that you're going to remember things that's going to change your life. You're going to make parenting decisions based on your job. Well, I'd say that that's probably true.
Yeah.
And so safety is a high priority in my family. And so, like I said, the boys been walking around with Red Ryder BB guns. You'll shoot your eye out, kid stuff, since
Mhm.
they could. And so how, once these kids get to where they're getting close to where they can take their hunter safety, you're thinking about it at 6, and you're challenging them at age 6 to say, if you're ready at age 7, we can do this. But I'm not forcing them. I'm making sure
Yeah.
that they're putting in their work, showing me that they're mature enough, responsible enough. If they're making bad decisions at home, you liken it to a responsible choice that could cause a safety issue if it's a gun. And so I think that they mature faster. And if they don't, that's okay too. It just means that you don't got to push them through at 7 years old.
Yeah. I just got done recording a podcast where I talked about my children, and my kids see my fascination with hunting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm captivated by it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, Daddy, I want to go hunting with you. I want to go hunting with you. But I see their behavior at home, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so my oldest is 5. I'm pretty sure like 7 is what I'm gonna,
Push for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've told him like, here we go. 7 is the time. So, oh, Carter, you're not being responsible at home. Well, I can't take you in the woods because you're not going to be responsible in the woods. You got to make sure you're obedient to what I say. These different things. So, it's really interesting perspective. So let's talk about turkey hunting.
Yeah.
We haven't actually had a turkey hunting episode on this podcast.
Oh, cool.
So this is going to be the first one. First off, whether you're shotgun hunting, archery hunting, whatever, turkey hunting, general umbrella, what is it that you don't leave home without? What is your necessities?
Mm-hmm.
And then what are you looking for?
Yeah. So we kind of had to use a year to figure that out. I'd say right now with the land that we hunt and how we hunt, it's been pretty refined to where we're successful.
Yeah.
Hasn't always been that
Yeah.
way. Okay. So Adam, being a April 15th birthday, got to hunt as a 7-year-old during the youth season April 1st. We went out bare bones minimum trying to figure it out. I used to turkey hunt. I was never very good at it. And so we went out kind of like what we were normally doing. And so Adam went out with a 410 shotgun because you know what? It's great for grouse, but I was also told by a few people that they have successfully harvested some turkeys with that small shotgun. And I thought, okay, because he can't handle a 20 quite yet. So we went out there probably with the wrong gun. We did not have a ground blind. I wasn't set up and ready for how tired young kids get, how stir crazy they get, all those other things. Sorry about that.
Lots of snacks.
Snacks, sleeping.
You gotta have snacks.
Yeah. And so now, talking about what we've learned from it is now getting into 2 years into it, I've got 2 boys, so I've got a double plan where my brother's been instrumental is helping out one of my other boys because I right now would not leave home without my brother being a one-on-one parent-kid sort of duo.
Yeah.
This year was a different challenge. But as far as, overall gear list, bare bones minimum, like I said, tag, shotgun, decoys, calls, and camouflage, snacks, things like that. You can get out there. So I don't want it to seem like you got to have 32 items where you have to go in the woods, and if you don't have those, then don't go turkey hunt. You can flat get out there, hear some turkeys gobble and enjoy yourself and give yourself a chance. You can stick a homemade decoy in the ground or pick one up at a local store for $10, and you could have a chance to call one in with a simple box call if you hold still.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have action. We did that. I mean, we called them in, but I think that my oldest son was 0 for 4 in the first year.
Yeah.
He just missed like crazy. And
Weird.
so,
it's awesome that he even had that experience.
Oh, it was fun. We called in Jakes that wanted to storm our decoys, and we're left-handed shooters, both of us. And so they were coming to our left, to our right, and we got cross-bodied, and it was, we learned a little bit about setup and how to position your body correctly too. And I'm trying to wiggle them, and here they come. They're coming way too fast. And we learned a lot, but we didn't bring home any birds that year.
Yeah.
And, but as far as the next year, we started getting things dialed. Property is really everything. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We hunted some public land. It's very challenging. These turkeys are educated. They're not as patternable. Through baseball connections, we've had a chance to have some really good land over in northeastern Washington. And so we have learned how to hunt this 400-acre spot. We also have some access to some public on the outside. But so you got to have turkeys where you're going turkey hunting, and
right.
There's plenty of them.
Right.
But right now, knowing that the turkeys they don't always come in like a Primos video. You don't squawk on a call and here they come strutting.
Yeah.
Coming off the roost, there's an old saying roosted isn't roasted, and that's true for us. We haven't killed very many turkeys in the years that we've been doing it straight off the roost. Most of the turkeys that we kill are well into the day, if not entire day sits. And this year we shot we were in a blind for 13 or 14 hours, it seemed like, long with the boys,
So this is kind of interesting. I just got done from my first weekend doing a spring bear hunt. Turkeys were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought, because of what you see on TV, social media, whatever, that if you don't hunt turkeys in the morning, you're not going to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true.
Not true.
It's not true.
Yeah.
And because it's all this, well, you got to get in before dark and get in before they fly down and all that. And it's like, dude, there's turkeys gobbling all the way up until sunset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This year was different for us too, because that 2-day youth season, you're going to hunt morning, evening, middle of the day, long enough to get in, get out, and give them a little break from the blind or however it is. But you're going to use those 2 days because you're not going to drive all the way across the state just to hunt part of days.
Yeah.
We had the luxury of it. We kind of felt more like locals this year, hunting 5 or 6 days where we could sleep in if we wanted to.
Right.
Rainy days where you might want to sleep in, hey, we could.
Yeah.
We chose not to because we saw a 2-hour window and we ended up getting a turkey that morning. But then we took the rest of the day off, kind of thing. But no, I mean, as far as kids and just breathing the excitement, the most gobbling you're going to hear in the entire day is in the morning. So, if they fly down about 5:15 in the morning, they're going to be gobbling from 4:45 till 5:30. And once they hit the ground, they're going to quiet down just a little bit. But if you want a kid to get excited about if they're learning how to use their call, like maybe they're just using a box call, you hit that box call, you're not going to hear 1 or 2. You're going to hear 10 gobbles.
So cool.
Oh, yeah, and stacking 10 gobbles on top of it, and they gobble after each other, and it turns into 30 gobbles. It's impressive.
Let's take a step back.
Yeah.
How do you find turkeys?
Well, again, property. So Eastern Washington's got a whole bunch. First off, you can look in the game regulations. They have some pretty good breakdowns about what kind of turkey and which sections, and you can look at the success breakdown about how many turkeys are getting killed per hunter and all that.
Right.
So, you can kind of focus in. You can see where most of the turkeys are. We hunt mostly in those areas that have more turkeys.
Yeah.
There's places that are half the distance. We don't go to those ones.
This sounds really innocent, but when you're a hunter, it really helps to hunt where there's a lot more animals.
It does.
like it sounds insane, but I remember when I first got into hunting, I was coyote hunting. I was like, dude, why am I not seeing coyotes? Why am I not seeing coyotes? Well, number one, is there sign of coyotes? And number two, do coyotes live here? Because if you're not hunting where the animals are, you're never going to see them, and you're going to get frustrated. So that's a really good point. I
haven't called a turkey into my backyard yet.
Right.
We practiced a bit, though.
Right. So finding where high densities are.
Yeah.
And then from there, you'll see the sign and then go from there.
Yeah. We have a few ways to do it. the everybody's favorite is a vocal situation where you call them in. You get in. We usually get about 3:45 in the morning, get our quick breakfast, get out there, try to be quiet, walking into the woods, and then get set up. And they're gobbling like crazy, like I said. What you really hope for is just make some calls or hammer the calls if you're a kid learning how to do the box call, because that's just way more fun. But you hope that they're going to drop off the tree, fly out, land right in front of your blind, go right to your decoys, and do it.
Yeah.
And it's happened a couple of times, and it's pretty magical when it does,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't always happen that way.
So box calls are super fun because it gives you something to do, and you can make a lot of sounds off of it. I don't have one. I
Mhm.
have a diaphragm,
Mhm.
and so I can cluck, 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 cluck.
Yeah.
What other sounds do you actually need, or what do you find? What do you use that actually feels like works or goes to,
Yeah.
or like
Most of my approach on elk calling or any calling is keep it pretty simple,
Yeah.
And so with kids in mind here, they're trying to learn how to do calls, and I don't live on the east side, which is a benefit, if you live over there, because you can see turkeys, hear turkeys, and you can mimic turkeys like crazy.
Yeah.
The local guys out there, that they've got it so much more dialed in than I do. I'm just a West Sider that's coming across.
Uh-huh.
So I keep it really simple, yelps, cuts, clucks. I try to make my purrs sound good, but usually they don't. But,
Mhm.
there's a time and place for those ones if you want to draw some attention, like they're fighting purrs and whatnot. But um, that's pretty much it on the box call
A lot
for
of
me.
people correlate elk hunting
Yeah.
and turkey hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that's the same thing?
I do. I know that turkey has helped me become an better elk hunter. Again, you don't hear a lot of bulls bugling throughout the year, and you don't hear a lot of turkeys gobbling. And so when we were going east in our early days before I had kids, we used to hear a gobble, say, "Oh, they're way over there, and we're gonna walk for 10 straight minutes fast." And you make about 100 yards, and there's turkeys staring at you.
Mm.
And so one thing that I did over and over and over again was think that the turkeys were just too far away,
Yeah.
and you'd run right into them, and then you'd immediately fall on your back and play dead and hope they didn't see you. But
That's really interesting. I had an
yeah,
experience when on this bear hunt, we're biking in,
yeah,
and we came to this little meadowy flat area, and I was like, dude, this looks really turkey-ish,
mm-hmm,
or like Elkwoods, really elky,
mm-hmm,
and it just kind of had that sense. And so we let out a couple of clucks, and instantly, two toms,
oh, yeah,
and I was like, oh, they're farther up here. Go creep up the road, and before you knew it, they spotted us,
mm-hmm,
and they were a lot closer,
mm-hmm,
and they took off running. And I
mm-hmm.
was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know,
We learned some valuable lessons early on about how terrain dictates how loud it is. It's not just always the same volume,
so talk about that.
which direction they're facing. So uh, when we were turkey hunting, it's like rolling hills, little hill right in front of you, and up and down a couple different hills you'd go, and then you'd bump them. But you really did think you were going to go for a quarter mile, and then they were just right there. And so, you hear a gobble, we used to just take off. Now we look, we assess the land, we say, okay, so that's got this kind of range, so they're probably just on the other side of it. And so that saved my bacon a few times elk hunting, where uh, you remember those things, and they're either way louder and closer, or they're way further off.
Yeah.
Echoing is another thing,
Yeah.
and so if you've ever been walking down an alley and you look right because you heard a noise, but the sound came from the left as soon as you get around the edge, it's the same thing. It's like that ventriloquist way of throwing your gobble, throwing your bugle.
Yeah.
And that's really important when it comes to down which side hill you're going to go down. When it's a big drop and you picked the wrong one and you gave them your wind and you were on the wrong side.
Oh.
Yeah, terrible.
Well, so I remember elk hunting with Jeff,
Yep.
and this bull bugled, and all of us pointed different directions.
Yeah.
It was like,
We
no,
still
I
do
heard-
that. We still do that. Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. So turkeys, you don't have to play the wind.
Nope.
You just got to
thankfully.
play their eyesight
Yeah, and the hearing.
and the hearing.
Yeah.
You got to be stealthy.
Oh man. Yeah. Their eyesight is impressive. The first time I ever figured out how good they can see is driving home after a hunt. Didn't get in any turkeys. Passed by this guy's farmer's field, and you could see a bunch of toms out there strutting, probably 600, 700, 800 yards away, long ways. Knocked on his door, "Sir, can I hunt these turkeys? We're bow hunting. We're not going to be shooting your house." Kind of being respectful like that. I said,
Yeah.
"You bet, go for it." Yay, we're all excited. We're going to jump over there. What do? I say, "Okay, I got to figure out where these turkeys are at, and we're going to go get a setup on them." I poke my shoulders up and over. I go head, shoulders exposed, looking up over. I can see all these turkeys. Barely see them in a field. All their heads pop up. They run the other direction.
Mm.
Wow.
And they're fast.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, well, we're not even going to go hunt those things. Those things ran a long ways across open field, and they were not going to slow down.
Right.
So we just got back on the road, said thanks, sir, and we're out. But so they're amazing.
Yeah.
Their hearing
Thank
is
you, sir.
impeccable.
Can I get a hold of you next year?
Yeah, we kept that phone number. But and their hearing is impressive too. I mean, you make a call and they're not coming to the area; they're looking at the tree that you made that call from. And I've been told that they can hear the bugs in the ground a foot below, and they scratch at the bottom of those ponderosa pines. I mean, they can just figure out it. I mean, their ears are amazing. So
Interesting.
yeah, they're incredible animals. A lot of people say, "Boy, they are so stupid. They'll die in rainstorms in the fall." Maybe that's true, but they become a different bird in April when they are a different bird.
So I have never actually shot a turkey in the spring. Never called a turkey in. All my turkeys have always been spot and stock, using terrain to ambush them, or literally running after them, catching up, and then giving them a shot. It's worked for me, but I'm missing that springtime Tom gobble in your face,
Mhm.
the thunder chicken.
Mm-hmm.
What is your typical? Do you have a typical calling sequence for turkeys, or is it just kind of what you feel like for that moment?
Mostly just go right to yelps for me.
Yeah.
Yelps, clucks. If I cluck, I follow it up with a yelp because they have these alarm pucks that they do. So if you go puck, 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 and you don't follow it up with a yelp, they're like, oh, there's something bad over there, and they're leaving. Glenn Berry taught me that one because I think he watched me scare a few off with the calls. Yeah, he handed me the calls and took them right back. But
well, he was hoping for your beginner's luck,
right.
And he's like, "Oh wait, this guy doesn't have any."
Yep. No, that just learned through me. And so I try to keep, like I said, I just keep it real simple. A lot of yelps, puck, puck, yelp, yelp, and then a few cuts if I want to get it just really aggressive.
What is a cut?
It's when I don't have a call handy, but it's like kick, kick, cut, cut, cut. It's a really excited noise.
Do you like more of a high pitch cluck or those sounds, or is it more like the blah blah blah? I'm not
based
even
on
making
the turkeys.
I sounded more like a dirt bike than I did like actual.
Yeah, like I said, the disadvantage of being a guy that lives over here on the coast is we don't hear it daily. So when we go over there on a Friday, getting ready for a Saturday hunt, might be the first time we hear turkeys all year.
You're experimenting.
And so you're hearing it on your drive across. You're thinking, what are they going to sound like? So you hear it and you just try to mimic. And so what's funny is you hear a lot of light yelps. Then you also hear that really raspy old hen, and you hear it all across the board. And so I don't feel like you have a right or wrong answer on those ones. In fact, this year I tried out. I had a slew of different calls in my pouch.
Yeah.
As far as mouth reads goes. And I like the mouth reads more for mimicry, but I like the box calls for the kids and for just getting out and cutting the wind. You can really make some to the point where your ears are ringing if you're running the box. So it really gets out there. I call that more like your locator, but your diaphragms are more of your getting after it, doing it the right art way. But so my elk calls, I can make really light, soft calls. And I feel like I can control that read just a little bit better. I can actually purr just a little bit better. But I tried a turkey read this year, and one of them I flat boogered up.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, just wasn't consistent for me. And then the other one was great.
Yeah.
And I think I tried 2 different manufacturers, 4 or 5 different reads, and my elk call was my finishing call. Yeah.
Well, that's a good knowledge for beginning hunters is that it doesn't have to be a turkey call.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can do to mimic a sound.
Yeah.
Low
volume.
I remember I put in an elk diaphragm one time, and my buddy was like, "Dude, you sound like a coyote."
Which is also a great noise to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Because we actually do coyote calls out there, and Glenn Berry back again, him. He was the first one. He can make a hawk call that you would swear is a hawk with a reed. He can make a perfect coyote call. I still can't do the hawk one very well.
Yeah.
But the coyote one's handy as far as locating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got real close to a roost tree one time years and years ago before kids, and there's a coyote yipping, and I was able to sit underneath this tree until first light, and I got underneath the tree. And if I wanted to shoot one out of the tree, I would have, but I didn't want him to. I wanted him to land out in front of me and
Yeah.
do it that way.
Yeah.
Well, he flew the coop.
Oh.
Yeah, I was underneath there for a long time. It was a rainy day, so rainy days they don't fly out immediately. They kind of hang out in the tree, and
Uh-huh.
they're not very active. They're just hanging out, and so uh, I was soaking wet, no rain gear. But the coyote brought me right to the tree, and it was real early. And being a storm, it's darker later, so I had
Huh.
more time to move. But countless times I've used that coyote call to locate them, and they gobble right back.
So let's talk about locating. Yeah, it wasn't until last year I actually heard about a crow call.
Oh yeah, that's
Use crow
mhm.
calls to get toms to gobble,
Right.
and then you can find out where they're at and then move in, slip in.
So yeah, morning time you're usually acting like a turkey. Middle of the day they shut up. Maybe 9 o'clock midday they just decide to the hens go sit on nests. The toms become paired up, maybe solo, but maybe bachelored up, if that's even the right word for them, like a bull. But yeah, midday they're not talking. There's not that whole flock mentality where they're talking to each other. They've just gone their separate ways for the day.
Yeah.
And so they're not talking. You occasionally hear a gobble, but you don't all the time. And so you need to spark them. And one way to do it is to hit that crow call. And you can really make that thing go. And it doesn't sound like any crow call. If you sound like a crow call, like you hear in the backyard,
Yeah.
I've never had one spark there. I don't hear crows naturally in the wild spark gobblers, but if you do the aggressive crow call, they seem to go, and
It
not
just
always
lights
on
'em
the
up.
not on the first one, but sometimes the second one.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is you've got a day or two before that really doesn't work, especially
Mm.
on public land because they become wise to it.
So
But further with that, you spark one like that midday with a crow call, you go back to the hen call. So then you move like you would an elk, and
yeah.
you set up terrain to your advantage. You always assess the ground, say, hey, where does he want to come across?
Okay.
Turkeys want to come across real easy things. No fences, no logs, kind of a draw maybe, but you do your very, very best to not scare them, because they can hear you. And you can't see their little red heads poking above the branch. So you gotta it's like playing with fire. You gotta pick it right and then set up.
Yeah.
But if they want to come, hey, that's the time to get them because they're looking for hens. The hens aren't there, and they're coming charging. And that's when you don't need a decoy. That's when you just need to find a tree, sit down, and hold on for about 2 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
Sometimes 20 seconds.
Okay, so that was one of the questions that I had to follow up is like you locate turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
How close are you trying to get to them?
To each their own. A bow.
Are you having them come up and over a hill to you, or are you still trying to?
Yeah, I like to be on the backside of a hill. That way they come and try to find you, and they poke their head up and over, and they usually expose themselves and come. But if you're on the same hillside or that they are on,
They might even spot you moving.
they're gonna see you. I mean, they always do for me.
Yeah.
Belly crawl all you want, they're gonna spot you. Yeah, but yeah, they're just incredible when it comes to that stuff.
I learned using binoculars for turkey hunting is
Yep.
actually super handy, and I
Yep.
think when you see turkey hunting on TV, a lot of the times they don't have them.
Right.
Do you use
I do.
binoculars?
I don't use the only optic I use for elk hunting is my rangefinder. It's a 5 or 6 power. It's all I need. For turkeys, I don't go out in the woods without it. I need it for turkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. What are we missing right now?
Well, let's see.
I don't even know. That's part of why I wanted to sit down and chat with you.
Let me just I think the idea about what we're trying to do here is to try to educate some dads how to bring their kids out and how to get kids out there, how to do it, how to start.
Yep.
You might even be a 25-year-old person that's just never hunted, and you're going to use the same systems to basically get out there and get going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a bell by the door. My dog just
Oh, I love it.
She's got to go out to the bathroom. She hits the bell there. So, hi, Rosie. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about that. So like I said, we took some lumps early on with my first kid. How much time are we at, by the way?
Oh, we got about 10 minutes.
Oh,
10,
okay.
12 minutes.
All right.
We'll wrap it up.
Yeah. So if you're going to try to get the kids out there, one, blinds are good because they don't stop moving and wiggling. Even when they're sea turkeys and they're coming in, they're moving. So you need a blind. Ideally, these are all the ideal situations. Not, like I said before, you can get out there and get after it and try to hunt, but the right way to do it, I think, is keep them comfortable, keep them in the woods. And so you got blinds, you got chairs.
Make it fun.
Yeah, make it fun, not make it miserable. How's that?
Yeah.
Because it's always gonna be fun, but it's also gonna be miserable because you know what, the youth season we have sometime goes into late March. And in Eastern Washington, you can be into the 30s,
Cold weather. Yeah.
cold weather. And so one thing that was told to me is bring a sleeping bag, and I thought that was overboard. No, bring a sleeping bag.
Let them hop in it.
Get a nice backpack that you can bring everything in there.
Uh-huh.
Don't bring a fanny pack. The kind of backpack that you want to pack an elk out with, that's the kind of backpack that you want.
I like that.
So I've got a Kifaru Nomad 2, and so it's got double wings, and I can fit anything in the middle of them. And so it's not uncommon for me to have, two blinds, 4 chairs, sleeping bags. They're carrying their own food and water in their own little Kuyu backpacks that they have, their little cute little day packs, decoys, shotguns, 2 of them. You're weighed down like an elk pack out. You probably got over 100 pounds of gear. And if you're doing two different setups,
Yeah, and that's saying if you're taking your kids out there.
Yeah,
and
if
stuff
you're
like
taking
that.
your kids out there, right? So get a good backpack where you can carry everything.
That's awesome. One of the most impactful things that I heard a friend of mine say who took his kids shooting for the first time is, and this sounds simple, but sometimes the simplest things are forgotten. He said, "I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for him."
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And so when you're taking somebody hunting out for the first time, evaluate what you're trying to accomplish out of your mission.
Well, obviously we want to fill some tags, but we want to keep it positive along the way.
Yeah.
Kid's going to remember getting scolded for moving or whining about things that seem unnecessary to an adult, but they're going to remember those things. So, like I said, don't make it miserable. Keep it positive. Keep them warm. Keep them fed. My kids, they're not video game kids, but they have little baseball arcade games that they'll bring, and that keeps them in the blind for a long time. And then we're rewarded often about just being in the blind for a long period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what you're talking about, having to do it for them. One thing that I learned with my firstborn when he was 7 and 8, oh boy, he's never going to be able to take a quality shot. That's why he missed 4 times. It wasn't his fault. It was my fault. And so what did we all do when we learned how to hunt? It was our granddaddies and daddies' rifles, adult-sized rifles, super heavy wood stocks, expected to hold that thing up and shoot.
Yeah.
And so what I learned in that 1 year was to get a shoot, not just sticks, but we've got a little tripod Caldwell sled that's a front and back. It's a lot to carry.
Yeah. Right. One of those things that people use to shoot prairie dogs off of.
Yeah. But for me, it was, hey, you know what? It's a lot for me to carry, but when they get a shot, they're not wiggling. We got an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so we take that. We take those primo ones, bipods when it comes to deer and whatnot. But when it comes down to the shot,
but having a weapon that fits you.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
talk about
yeah. So
who likes wearing shoes that don't fit them?
right.
So why would we want to shoot a gun that
Man,
doesn't
you
fit
just
us?
brought up a whole can of worms when it comes to fitting a rifle to a kid. So, like I said, we use that 410. I think it had a length of pole trigger to butt pad of 12 inches. And
Nice.
And I thought, this actually feels kind of good for me. And there was that pistol grip 410, break action, Richardson. I can't remember the other part of that shotgun, but great gun. So we took that measurement, bucked off all of our 243s, bucked off my childhood 270 that I used. Little did I know, they're so comfortable. I'm a 5'8" frame. I love that size. That might be my go-to, but it works great for them. And so what we did was we bought an old youth model Remington 870 Express and for my 20 gauge for my oldest son, and guess what? First time he ever shot that gun, he killed a big turkey. And then it was just game on from there. And so
that's so cool. And not just a big turkey. He shot a pretty
pretty
good
special, pretty special turkey. So
give your son a shout out.
So all right. So like I said, Adam got a chance to go hunting with Glenn Berry, and Glenn was just feeling sorry for me because I couldn't get Adam a turkey. So he's like, hey, come to one of my public land spots. So Glenn did all the calling on this one. I think I did a little bit of calling, but he like I said, took the calls away. And so we got up on these turkeys, and we heard a gobble, and we got set up, and they were on their way. It was an evening hunt, and they were on their way. We had time to sit down, turn, and get ready to go. And like I said, never fired the shotgun before. He shoots this turkey. All he could see was his head. I could see a huge beard. It was swinging like a whole nother level of swinging like you normally see,
Yeah.
from a tom to a big tom. He shoots it. He makes a great shot. And we walk up on it, and I say, dude, that's a really good turkey. And so um, it had over-inch spurs. It had 11-inch beard. It was a big, heavy bird. We had to take it to the local grocery store and weigh it because somebody said something about, oh, it might score in the books. Well, I think that one was a Rio Grande, and it was number one in the youth book. So he got the state record on his very first turkey that he's
So
ever shot.
cool.
So
So
what does
cool.
Dad do? Yeah, he just breasts him out, or not breasts him out, but we got the legs and everything. Yeah, turns out he's number one.
Dude, that's so
So
cool.
I ate him, but now I'm kicking myself. I didn't do a full body mount. Following year, though.
Yeah.
So that was a 63-inch bird, point bird. Same spot almost, and he shoots a 78-incher.
He outdoes himself.
1.5 spurs both sides, 26-pound bird, 10.56-inch beard, through the roof, special bird, just a mammoth. And
Wow.
we did get that one full body mounted. But once again, thanks to Glenn for helping us out
That's
with
cool.
that shotgun in that spot.
I got to meet Glenn one of these days. I hear nothing but great things about him.
Yeah, good dude. Been in the industry a long time. Good family.
Yeah.
Bringing up his grandkid through hunting too. He just got a double the other day, so his first turkey.
That's so cool.
It was pretty neat.
Here's one of the cool things that I actually know about turkey hunting that a buddy of mine, Jeff, our fellow friend, told me. He said he was learning how to turkey hunt from a guy out in North Dakota, and they located a roost. It was across this field, like wide open expanse. And his big game hunting knowledge was like, well, let's sit up against the edge of the field where we're hidden and all that. And the guy was like, no, why are we waiting for these birds to you're never going to call a bird across a complete open field. Kind of like you wouldn't call it elk across an entire open grassland or meadow or whatever. So they took their blind and set it up out in the middle of the field. And regardless of like how awkward a blind in the middle of a flat field looked, those birds came half the distance and they smoked them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I've never applied that personally. Who knows? But that may be more Midwest type hunting.
Maybe. I know when I got my first ground blind, it was a double bowl ground blind, and they said they'd paid no attention to the blinds. They used to set them up in the most obvious points to just show that it didn't matter. So, we've been busted by our blind setups, so maybe it's different.
Interesting.
Yeah. We've tried that very same tactic. They circled us. They avoided our area. They were coming right on us, and then they loop. And they're about 100 yards away the entire time, and they were leaving.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, so we're wrapping this up a little bit. I came down here. This was like a 3-hour, maybe 3.5-hour drive for me to get to Inferno Archery, to Matt, to have him work on my bow. We got tuned up. We shot today. We had a great time, grilled some sausage, all that. How can people get a hold of Inferno Archery? Come in here, buy a bow from you. I want people to know who Matt is because he's a great person, but also does amazing work on bows.
Yeah, but back up one. So I sold this bow to to Johnny a long time ago, and we had to do so many weird things to get it right for him. And he left here. I was hoping he didn't derail the bow or whatever. His form was a little off. We shot today, and we went out to 70 yards. We decided to change his pins from a 20 to 60 setup to a 30 to 70 setup with a level at 90, and kind of more of a consistent elk setup that I've used in the past with success. And Johnny's giving me a little run for my money today. Busted one of my arrows, and shooting some really good groups. You always expect to see a little flyer, and we got out to 70 and shot a lot of arrows. And I honestly don't think any shots that you shot would have not killed the animal that we were after. So, kudos to you for
I felt good
improving. And
that is why having a good mentor is so important.
Yeah, you can get started the wrong way for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good quality pro shops. There's a lot busier pro shops than me. What you get out of me in Inferno Archery is a lot of one-on-one.
Yeah.
I'm not running people in and out. Most good business people would say that I'm probably wasting my time because somebody will buy a bow from me and we spend 3 or 4 hours getting it right.
Right.
And if I was an employee of an owner, they'd be saying, "Dude, move on,
You're
wasting
time.
You're killing me."
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I pride myself in. We'll sit here and tinker until we get her done. Right.
Well, it's an exact reason why I drive so far to be here.
Yeah.
You know, like I come, my wife, bless her heart,
She's
Megs,
being patient.
I
Thank
love
you.
you. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's like, well, what is taking so long to sight your bow in? I'm like, you don't understand. It's a process. This
Mm-hmm.
is
Oh
it's
man.
the why do we hunt? It's the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I come to Inferno Archery for the experience.
We had an experience today.
Oh
Yeah,
heck yeah.
we had to put some strings back on a bow from a little oops that happens too.
Yeah, and let me just say, thanks, Clint. That was not me, but I love you, Clint. But don't do that again.
Yeah, and we replaced a cam and we got the string put back on and got the peep right and spent 30 minutes trying to get the timing all set up and shimmed correctly, and then we started shooting.
Yeah,
But it takes a while before we fire that first arrow a lot of times.
I know. But look what you did today, man. We should have taken a picture of those groups
They
just
were
to go
good.
along with this podcast, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, we should have.
Yeah,
We'll do it again though.
I love it. Hey, Inferno Archery.
Yeah.
Check it out. You got a phone number that you want to throw out there, or
Where-
social media,
well,
or are you on Facebook or anything?
I am on Facebook. I'm not real busy on social media. I've only got a Facebook page. I've got a personal one that's under Matt Schmitz. I've also got an Inferno Archery page that used to be Bull of the Woods, so don't get distracted if you see that one there. But you can see me on there, and I think my phone number is attached to it. So just find me on Facebook and Inferno Archery.
Cool. Or
If you
hit
have
up the
any information.
podcast and we can direct you
Yeah,
over.
absolutely. Yeah, no, and so I've got a day job that I'm there for, 24 hours, and I'm off for 48, and then we get 5 days off here and there. So most of what I do is it's a rotating schedule, so I don't have fixed hours. But you know what?
Yeah.
Give me a text or a message on Facebook, and we set up long blocks and time, and
I love it.
just get it. So
I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for checking out this episode. It is so much fun sitting here with Matt, talking shop, shooting bows, eating sausage, and just having a great time being Americans. Remember, you can't outgive good, and hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure. I'm Johnny Mack. As always, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.